All right. Also, South Korea's App Store law targeting Apple and Google goes into effect today, forcing both companies to allow third-party payments in their stores. So what does that mean for profits at those companies? Could the U.S. be next? Steve Kovac joins us to discuss. Steve, this is something that Apple warned would be a security issue potentially, but maybe this is a test case for the rest of the world?
Yeah, it's first of all, John, this is the first major economy to really go after the App Store in this way. There's something going on in the Netherlands right now, but that's really narrow to dating apps. This is all apps accepting in-app payments. We already know Google's going to get around it. We don't know what Apple's going to do, but we can look to what they're doing in the Netherlands for guidance. And basically, they figured out a way to still collect a large commission, 27% in the Netherlands from these dating apps. And you can expect, based on what Google's doing already in Korea, it's going to look probably similar to that. Now, Apple, of course, they point to all the security investments and the payments they've made to app developers over the years. All of that is true. In fact, they paid more to developers last year than they've ever paid. But still, this is a real threat to their profits, especially as legislation around the world in major economies, including the United States, are looking at these issues.
Yeah, Steve, so the U.S. lawmakers have been looking at the same issue. There's this debate here about whether to open up the App Store. Where does that stand at the moment? And what kind of precedent does this first market now give us?
Yeah, this is the kind of thing that worries Apple and Google. I mean, they've found a way to skirt around it. The Klobuchar bill, which we've been discussing for maybe the last almost year or so, that seems to be the one that's the most worrisome to these tech companies in the App Store markets. But again, we haven't really seen major tech legislation come out of the United States. It seems like the most effort is behind that Klobuchar bill I was just talking about.
Steve, it seems to me there's pressure in ecosystems, digital ecosystems these days. We can talk about IDFA and what's happened to Facebook and others that are trying to make money off of advertising, Apple putting the pressure there. But then there's pressure coming to bear on Apple's ability to take a share of transactions through the App Store. Seems to me like the advertising pressure has had a much bigger impact thus far than the kind of app toll pressure has. What's your take?
It's a little different. So, again, the advertising thing, the IDFA thing you mentioned, yes, Facebook warned about $10 billion getting knocked off. It really depends on the developer, though, with these payment rules that are being considered. The smaller developers, the ones that make under $1 million a year, they're only paying a 15% commission under Apple's new rules. It's really the somewhat larger ones, the Spotifys, the Matches of the world, that are really upset about this because it's really putting a dent in their profits. And in a lot of ways, especially in Spotify's case, they're direct competitors with Apple in streaming music. And they see it as Apple advantaging its own platform over others.
Indeed, that is the argument. Steve, thank you.
Thanks.